heard many rumors. Was the hug scripted or not? And Dr. Hollow.
Absolutely not. Voldemort hugs me, and there's a lot of talk about, oh, you hugged Voldemort. I did not hug anyone. My arms were down, and we did that thing like 50 times. We shot that whole outdoor sequence for months, it seems. We had to stop because it started snowing. Come back to it in the summer. It was a very, very drawn out, long thing. And Rafe, the actor who plays Voldemort, is he's incredible for many reasons. But one is that he'll throw things at you without actually asking. Or, one of the amazing things, actually, looking at you now, is that you look like the noseless demon that you all now love. Rafe did the entire film with 100 green dots. He had the makeup, but he had 100 just green dots all over his face, which looks ridiculous. But so to be that menacing, even with a full nose, just a bunch of green dots, says a lot about his acting skill. But no, it was completely random. I walked up to him, and he did a couple of scenes where he put his arm up, and one where he nearly sort of scratched his nail on the face, I think, and then the one with the hug. That amazed me is that's the one they kept. That's the one he used. And even more interestingly, the two reactions from that coast to coast. In England, I vividly remember watching that in the premiere, and there almost being a sort of cold, like a shudder at how scary and how sort of ominous and disgusting that was. And in America, it was just out and out hilarious. That reaction, which I'm not sure was intended, but it's great that there's humour to be found even in the darkest of scenes. Yeah.
Hogwarts student.
Okay. Hi. I'm just wondering, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So the first one is, what's your favorite place in London? And how do you take your tea?
Wow.
And what was the other one? I'm like totally blanking right now.
London-wise, I'm a fan of the whole old city. It's a big place. I love Hampstead. Hampstead Heath's really nice. It's kind of a big outdoor park where my dog can go rambling. So we love it there for sure. I love all the old Piccadilly and Trafalgar Square and all those sort of boring old monuments. I'm quite a stiff for the history of London, so I enjoy that. How do I like my tea?
Yes.
What we would call in England builder's tea,
Builder's
which is
tea.
very quick, strong, splash of milk.
Okay.
And that's it, which I'm sure you're all finding fascinating.
And the last one was, what's your favorite book, like currently or of all time? Just your favorite book.
I'm ashamed to say I haven't read much recently. To be fair, I seem to spend more hours watching than reading. Certainly of the Harry Potter books, I think it was the second one that I still look back on and think that's the book single-handedly that really got me into reading, or got me interested in reading.
Yeah.
Before that, anything with words, I sort of got a bit demoralised and just looked for pictures, I think. I think I was definitely of the generation where reading wasn't cool.
Yeah.
If you spent your lunch break reading, then you definitely weren't part of the in
Exactly.
crew,
Yeah.
And within a couple of years of Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban, that completely turned on its head, and suddenly you weren't cool if you didn't know what happened.
Right.
So yeah, I have a lot to thank for that. I think that's probably one of the greatest things that's come out of Joe's work.
Yes, definitely.
Mess.
Because you were still kids as you were filming the first couple movies, I assume you like to have some fun on the set. Do you have any funny messing with the cast or crew stories and stuff?
I mean, it was all pretty tame.
Because I've seen some YouTube videos of after the scene's done, you guys are laughing, you and Dave.
Yeah, that used to be the big thing that held back filming schedules, was laughter. Rupert especially had an issue with it. No, it got really bad. Where in fact anything that interrupted a film take was a red card. If you got a red card, it was £10 into a bucket. And I think Rupert single-handedly put about over $2,000 in the first year. Just for him, you get that thing where you shouldn't laugh, and you get told this is it, don't laugh, and immediately he just starts cracking up. He can't take it when you're not supposed to. Pranks-wise, it was pretty tame. It was changing languages on phones, putting salt instead of people's tea instead of sugar. We had a lot of fun, but we actually took the work pretty seriously. Most of the idiocy took place in the education classrooms and in the lunchroom, and we weren't actually on set. I think we were pretty well behaved students, I think.
With Rise, you were unrecognizable for so long. Was the dialect work? How much dialect work did you do with the current film that you?
Yeah, quite a bit. It's not something that I take on lightly. You know, I think it's very easy to sort of imitate an accent, but it's very hard to actually do it and not think about it and just sort of, just talk and let it come to you. So yeah, I did take it very seriously, and many an hour back at home and in America, and yeah, it's not something that I ever think that a bit like acting, you don't suddenly just get it, and now you've got it. You have to keep working at it constantly, and yeah, I see someone as regular as I can, and ideally I'd like to have someone. It was nice on this film, Ghost of the Pacific, because the two other gentlemen that were with me were both American, and one of them in fact was from the town that my character was from. So all I had to do was imitate his accent, really. And every time I did slip up, he would say, well, you went a bit southern there, or you did a bit of this, did that. So it's nice to have that. Yeah, but it's not something that I do lightly, and I definitely, it's something that I would consider it needs a lot of work to be comfortable in doing. Thanks, mate.
We have time for a few more.
Sure.
Yes.
Is there any particular Draco ship you enjoy the most, like Hermione or Nancy?
I mean, I won't lie, the whole thing kind of freaks me out a little bit. I mean, over the years I've got more used to it, and actually I'm thrilled that people have felt inspired enough by the books to want to create their own. Just some of their imaginations are a little wacky at times.
Inspired is a good euphemism.
Well, yeah. I have a thing, I don't know a thing, but I enjoy the idea of Drapple. It took me years to figure out what it was, but it's Draco and an apple. And it gets me even further to realise why, because in the sixth film he carries an apple. I don't even know, I don't know more than that, but that's probably the oddest pairing and the one that's given me the most laugh.
Do you want to fix some people?
No, you got it. You got it.
Say what?
There's a girl over here who wants to ask, little girl.
Okay,
Hey.
yes, son.
What's your favorite magical item?
Wow. Can I ask you the same? Do you have one? Is there one that you would like to be? What is it?
Either a broom or a wand.
Well, you kind of just stole my answers. What else can I go for? I've always, much like yourself, my lovely, I've always wanted a broomstick. It would be awesome, wouldn't it, just to have your own, your own broomstick. Very eco-friendly. Yeah, and it'd be very awesome. I think a wand obviously ultimately is more useful, but I fear I'd get myself into more trouble than it's worth with a wand. So I'll stick to the ninjas.
So, it's a good question, though. All right. I'm just going to pick people who's in, yes, in the back, the sunglasses.
How did you feel about the way they made Draco look at the end of the last film? Because we thought that they made him look worse than any of the other characters. Like he looked about 80.
Oh, right. I was thinking like, I think you meant in the courtyard. I was like, what are you talking about? No, completely. Yeah. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll just say that I was the least protesting client of the ones who were going to get aged. Oddly enough, the women were less keen to be aged significantly than I was. I was like, give me the fat suit. Give me Also, the guys who do it, they've been reading this, they knew it was coming for years, so they'd spent years compiling all this. They took pictures from my family, of my brothers, of my dad, and to try and get a real grasp of where I was heading. Built various pieces, there was very little of my actual face was being shown there. They had all sorts of eye pieces and a fake forehead and a wig. I loved it. I thought it was pretty kick-ass. But I agree with you that he did look 80. So when you look at Lucius, you think how good he looked into his. I thought I was set with Jason as a dad. I thought. Apparently not. But yeah, thanks for noticing. I appreciate it.
take on the interpretation of Draco Malfoy by a Harry Potter musical?
This is young Laura?
Lauren.
Yeah.
Lauren, sorry, Lauren, yeah. I think she should have got the original part and I should have been doing the musical.
Rolling on the floor. all
Yeah,
the
she's
time.
good at that. Yeah. It's again, you know, it took me a couple of years to see that, but I know it's amazing. I actually met a few of those kids who have done it, and it's incredible that something it must have started off as a pretty wacky idea, and now look at it. Like now look at what they've managed to achieve, and it's another great byproduct of kids or people that have been inspired from the films or the books, and they wanted to do their own spin, shall we say, on. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I definitely enjoyed it.
Just hands down if you've already had a question, because we had so many questions, like, thanks. So, yes.
After acting as Draco Malfoy for so long, was it weird acting in other movies?
A little bit, yeah. It was a bit terrifying, to be honest with you. You get very used to playing the same thing. It becomes very easy, you know. Not easy as in you don't think about it, but the director ends up asking you what you think your character would do because they know you know Draco better than anyone. So yeah, it was a bit weird going to a new film set. And we had the luxury of time on Harry Potter. You were lucky enough to do 5, 6, 7 or 8 takes and spend hours rehearsing sometimes if they needed to. So it was weird to go on to another film where all of a sudden they had no rehearsal time, 2 weeks to shoot it, you're in and you're out, and you really had to commit to your decisions, because if you think of something a week later that you should have done, you really sort of kick yourself and think, ah, God, that could have been so much better. So yeah, I've learned a lot in those brief periods, but ultimately it's scary and fun to take on new roles.
Middle aisle, black shirt, red print.
Well, earlier last year, I saw one of your late night shows where you were reading the little flashcards in an American accent.
Right.
And I thought you did it really well.
Sup
And
baby wanna smush was the one. I remember.
would you like perhaps say a few new lines?
Absolutely not. No. Sorry, that was as good as my recollection of that was going to be. They threw that on me completely. They told me it was going to be British phrases, and I was going to have to do like a ridiculous Sherlock Holmes posh accent, and instead they threw the Jersey Shore. I was again petrified. That's putting it kindly. I'm glad I got away with it. It seems you remember this. That can't be a bad thing. But I appreciate your request.
All right.
Thank you, Sven.
Let's see. Young lady, blue, long sleeve, yep.
Did you keep any of the props from any of the movies?
They were very tight with that. They started doing random security checks in the last 3 or 4 films because they knew how valuable the props were supposed to be. Yeah, the short answer is no. The long answer is yeah. No, they gave me a ring. There was they had 6 or 7 copies of Malfoy's silver Slytherin ring, which he got on the 3rd film. So I was lucky enough to keep that. I've got a tie, one of the original Slytherin ties. That's about it. It's quite sad, isn't it? They kept, obviously there's only one wand, so that's actually in the Leavesden studio tour. We were very tempted as a joke one day to gag and handcuff Daniel, Harry, and stick him in the boot of the trunk of our car as we were driving out through security. Just to see we never actually got around to that, but I always remember the idea of doing it.
Here.
How do you feel about action figures, your likeness being used on like things like action figures and statues and now Legos? What's your take on you out there in the world?
That's one of the big kind of things that shows you like, wow, this is really bigger than you ever expected. When you're in it, you really don't see what's going on around you. You're almost in a bubble where no one says, oh my God, this is incredible, we're doing this today. Because we're all just sort of doing it. So seeing the Lego was definitely a childhood thing, like big tick. Action figure was an even bigger tick. And the theme park, I was like, oh my God, kill me now, I'm good. Which was great, and I was very, very sweetly given a set of the Harry Potter stamps earlier, which I'll cherish. I never realized, my face is on a US postal stamp. Again, I think is really cool. It's not something that I ever. These things aren't things that you ever like hope for or are aiming for, but if they're a byproduct of the success of what you've done, then I'm very grateful that they're here. Annoyingly, I don't collect it. I haven't got a whole. I feel like I should be one of the. Who's the guy from Kiss?
Gene Simmons.
He has a room which is just absolutely packed with like his Kiss coffins and yeah. I would love to have a whole Slytherin Draco shrine. So one day I'm going to come to these things and the lovely props that you bring up from either side, I'm going to just start offering you money for it. So yeah, it's something that I do cherish, and I think it's really cool that they're not dying. You know, they're building one in LA now. They're building one in Japan. So as far as I'm concerned, the Harry Potter flame will burn pretty strong for the next 10 years or so.
Please, perhaps.
Two questions. Do you have a favorite spell that you used in any of the films? And did you ever sustain any injuries while filming?
Expelliarmus was always the one that we kind of messed around with when we were offset, just messing around. So what was the second part? Did I ever get injured?
Sustain any
Mentally?
injuries while filming?
No, never really. There was a scene where we